All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. I mean, listen, it's very hard to get excited right now. You know, Knicks Pacers game 5, the Knicks season on the brink at Madison Square Garden, potentially the last ever game on TNT. That's another thing to look for. Something I'm more intrigued about than anything. The fact that they're not going to get a good series potentially to end their run with the NBA that extends 30 plus years. But we're going to get into all of it. We're going to discuss every single facet of this game and preview and I'm going to predict the game and I'm going to give you my 2 cents on everything that could happen tonight. Obviously, again, like I want to sit here and I want to be excited. I want to bring my usual, I wouldn't say joy, but my usual energy to these live streams that I do bring. And I just, it's very hard for me to do that right now. But I'm still, like, listen, the Knicks are still in the conference finals. The series isn't over. I'm not going to be all doom and gloom, even though obviously, my demeanor or my voice right now, you could sense the dejection. Is that a word? Dejected. I mean, I sound dejected. There you go. But no, I mean, listen, it's game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals, a series which should be 2-2, if not 3-1 for the Knicks' favor. Of course, it's not right now, and it's 3-1 Pacers. The Pacers are one game away from advancing to their first finals in 25 years, and now for the second year in a row, not dethroning the Knicks, but knocking them out of the playoffs. And that is where we're at right now. The last time a team has come back from a 3-1 deficit was 2020. And it's only been done, I think, 18 times in NBA history. I think 95% of teams don't come back from 3-1. The Knicks have shown some resolve. They've shown they've got some balls. They've got, I wouldn't say the tough mentality, but they've got players on their team who are champions. They won in college. They've got a few guys who've won NBA championships. So they've got a strong resolve. And, they can respond in a good way and hopefully not lose this game at home and allow the Pacers to clinch on the MSG floor. I don't think that there could be anything more pathetic than that. But I mean, listen, I'll put this up and then whatever. Was Becky Hammond right? No. Next. But I just think that we take this one game at a time. I'm not saying the Knicks have any chance in the series. I don't believe they do. I think they get blown out tonight. Well, I'm going to get to that. I'm going to discuss why I believe that. But it's very hard for me to sit here and get excited. And I'm sure if you're going to the Garden, if you're going to be there, if you're watching on TV, no matter what, if you're a Knicks fan, you probably feel the exact same way that I do. Like, it's very hard to sit here and be excited about a Knicks conference finals game. A week ago, we had hopes that this team could be going to the finals. The Knicks were the favorites in this series. And it will now be for the third straight year, they get knocked out, potentially knocked out, by a team with a lower seed than them. I think that this is more than that. 3 years in a row, also in 2020, 2021 with the Hawks. So this is not something new. The Knicks have been underperforming against lesser teams. I mean, obviously from what we've seen from the Pacers, they seem to be the better built team, the better coach team. I wouldn't say that they have more talent, but they're the better team, 100%. The Knicks had their historic collapse in game 1, and now the series is 3-1 instead of 2-2, which it absolutely should be 2-2. And we'd obviously be talking about this series in a completely different light, but we're not right now because the Knicks blew one of the worst games that I've ever seen in NBA history. I digress, but here we are on May 29th. It's a blessing. I'll be honest. I'm gonna try to be positive here tonight. It's a blessing that the Knicks are still playing basketball this late on in the season. And Adam Chazen is a Philadelphia 76ers fan. The last time the Sixers were playing this late in the season, I don't know, was it before the 21st century? So shut up. 2001. But either way, the Knicks have played this long. They can extend it. Game 6 would be on Saturday night, I believe. I'm not, it's not out of the question. It's not out of the question. But winning 3 straight games in a row, I don't think that that's possible, especially with what we've seen from this Knicks team over the last 5 games or the last 4 games, and more specifically what we've seen from the head coach, Tom Thibodeau. And that is my biggest gripe with the team. That is my biggest reason why I don't think that this is possible, why I think the Knicks are going to lose tonight, and they're going to lose in 5, which would be a major disappointment considering what the odds were going into the series and how well they played and how they beat Boston. They were up 3-1 against Boston before the Tatum injury. The Knicks have no chance in this game tonight if Tom Thibodeau did what he did in Game 4, which is ride guys who clearly don't have it. Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart need to show up tonight. Like, there's no doubt about it. Because if they don't play well, Tom Thibodeau trusts them too much for them to come out of the game. Like, that's the issue here. That you've got to hope and pray that all these guys have it, because if not, the Knicks are going to lose. I know that's pretty simple, but usually head coaches in the playoffs will mix things up. They'll go with guys they normally don't go with if one of their main guys doesn't have it. And we did not see that in Game 4. We saw it in Game 3. We saw, the differentiation with the lineup, the versatility that those guys off the bench brought the Knicks, defensively especially. These LY words. I cannot for the life of me understand why Tom Thibodeau did not follow the same pattern that he did in Game 3 in Game 4. And it's what cost them the game. It's the terrible lineup that they threw out there to start the game. And listen, I understand Mitch was the right move as the starter. I think Deuce instead of Josh Hart makes more sense. The lineup is much better defensively. It's one of their best net rating lineups. I think Josh Hart being in the lineup these entire playoffs has just been killing them defensively. Like, you already have two inept defenders in Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns. You had Josh Hart, who realistically has been a subpar defender, to the mix, and they suck. They're terrible. And Mitchell Robinson, listen, I know he was a minus 20 in the last game, but he grabbed 5 offensive rebounds to start that third quarter and then barely plays the rest of the game. The Knicks, they got the 14-0 run from the Pacers at the end of the second quarter, at the start of the third, and that was with one of the worst Knicks lineups that there is. So if Tom Thibodeau doesn't grow, if he doesn't, adapt to, the changing nature of the series, he doesn't adapt to the fact that his back and this team's back is against the wall, the Knicks will lose. You can guarantee it. Guaranteed. As Charles Barkley likes to say, the series is over if he doesn't change it up. And if he does, if he goes against what he always does, which is, his rigid nature of coaching and trusting guys who don't have it just because he's loyal to the guys who he's played all season long, huge minutes. If he changes from that, if he adapts, I think the Knicks can come back and win the series. Do I think it's going to happen? No, I don't. I've said this a bunch now in the past few days. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. And I thought, after what I saw in Game 3, with some of those lineups he threw out there during the stretch run of the game, that we'd at least see that again in Game 4. And what happened? The Knicks' two worst lineups played 25-plus minutes together. You barely see DeLon Wright. You see DeLon Wright in the second quarter. It was the only time throughout the course of that game where it felt slowed down, where the pace was slow. And it was in the Knicks' favor. And they take him out, and then everything gets fast again. Everything gets, to the point where the Pacers like it. And with the fast pace, with the transition looks, Josh Hart had 4 turnovers in the first half. He somehow comes out and plays like 17, 18 minutes in a row. Unbelievable. It's very hard for me not to get hung up on what happened in game 4. Like, I'm not going to sit here and complain about what happened in Game 1. I did that after. And I did that the day after. I did it on TikTok. I've done it a million times. There's no point in me sitting here and dwelling on it. I did one reaction video to the Yankees blowing that game in Game 5, the 5th inning. I did one reaction video the next day, and that was it. And that is what I will do if the Knicks lose this series. I'm going to move on and start discussing the offseason. Not try to, hang my hat on what we saw in Game 1. But hopefully the Knicks can make us forget about that. Do I think that's going to happen? Absolutely not. And I'm sure all of you out there share that same sentiment as me. The Knicks are not going to come back and win this series. I mean, obviously the odds are completely against them. And the history of the NBA does not support what the Knicks could do here. And last but not least is the head coach. Like, if things aren't working and things aren't getting changed, very hard for things to go the right way. That's my thing about it. That's how I feel about this game. That's how I feel about the potential rest of the series. They don't have it. They do not have any chance to do it unless the head coach decides to switch it up. That's my thought. If the Knicks are favored in this game, there won't be huge underdogs in game 6. If there's a game 7, the Knicks will be favored. Is it out of the question for this team to do it? Considering what I believe is a lot more talent than the Pacers have? Like, I think it's possible. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. But who knows? I mean, again, it all comes down to whether or not the head coach decides to make some changes. And we saw earlier today, I mean, I read a few hours ago that Karl-Anthony Towns was a game time decision for tonight. I fully expect him to play. I think it would be absolutely insane if he's available. Okay. Yeah. Not a shock whatsoever. Obviously he is going to play in this game. I can't understand the false hope. Jeff, what's up, man? LFG, it's going to game 7. I honestly believe. I wish I had that level of delusion. I'd be a lot happier in life. I feel like I'm a realist, and I got the prediction of most of these games in this entire series wrong. I got the prediction of the second round wrong. I had Knicks in 5 against the Pistons. It went 6. This season, this postseason, has been extremely unpredictable for the Knicks and in the series as well. Like, again, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. But it will not happen if the coach continues to be extremely rigid with his lineup decisions. Like, we should see DeLon Wright for 20 minutes in this game. I cannot believe I'm saying that. Like, Mikal Bridges can't play 35 minutes. If he can, hit water if he fell out of a boat. Josh Hart cannot play almost 40 minutes if he's turning the ball over left and right. Jalen Brunson needs to pass the ball. You know how many assists that Jalen Brunson has to Karl-Anthony Towns this series? 1. 1! 2 of the most talented offensive players in the league on the same team have no two-man game. None. And maybe this isn't a good fit. Maybe the 2 of them together is not a good fit. Or maybe the head coach just refuses to get the 2 involved in the same action. Hopefully things change. There's a lot of ball stopping from Jalen Brunson. I love how, fans love to give Carmelo Anthony shit for what he did with the Knicks. Barely passing the ball, taking contested jumpers. What is Jalen Brunson doing differently? Like, he's a point guard. Yeah, he facilitates a little bit more, as he should, as is expected from a point guard. But what's the difference between Brunson, how Brunson and Carmelo Anthony play the game? Again, Brunson's a guard. He's looking to facilitate more. That's by default. With how many shots that Jalen Brunson forces up, and I understand in the fourth quarter he only takes 3 shots. If he takes 15, the Knicks still lose the game. I don't want to hear about that. I don't. But I also cannot believe I'm sitting here and comparing Carmelo Anthony with Jalen Brunson. I think Jalen Brunson is a much better Knick all time. His legacy with the Knicks in only 3 years is way better than whatever it was with Carmelo Anthony with 6-7 years. 100%. 100%. But if the Knicks want to win this game, they want to come back and win the series, Tom Thibodeau's got to switch it up with the rotations, and Jalen Brunson needs to look to facilitate more. He needs to look to drive and kick. I mean, he generates so much attention on the offensive end because of every single one of the moves he has, all the counters he has. And the fact that, Aaron Nesmith has done a really good job defensively against him, but if he beats Aaron Nesmith, guess what's going to happen? The defense is going to collapse on him, and he's going to be able to find an open shooter. What have we seen throughout the course of the series? He has not done that. He has straight up not done that whatsoever. And it's not the main reason why the Knicks are here, but it's one of them. It's absolutely one of them. And another major aspect of the series is the fact that Tyrese Halliburton's been the best player throughout. I think Pascal Siakam is number 2. The Knicks have done an awful job at defending those 2. And it's something that I talked to Brian Geltzeiler about, someone I've had on here a bunch of times, SiriusXM NBA radio host. We discussed, what you do to stop Pascal Siakam. And I said, I'm like, OG, the screens and the off-ball, like everything that they do to generate mismatches, they do extremely well. So I said, I'm like, what the hell are they going to do? And he said, and I tend to agree with him, the Knicks have 2 guys in the roster who could defend Pascal Siakam. OG Anunoby and Precious Achiuwa. Like that, realistically, those are the 2 guys. And you're not going to see Precious play 20 minutes in this game, no matter how much Rick Carlisle wants him to play. You're not going to see him in big minutes. You just can't play him. And it's been floated out there by a bunch of people like, why not throw OG Anunoby on Tyrese Halliburton? Come on. And what the hell are you going to do with Pascal Siakam? Pascal Siakam's going for 50. 50. NJ born 2001. What's up, man? Is Cat going to play? I mean, yeah, as I just checked, that's what I'm seeing right now on, I believe, ESPN. He's available to play. Big Mike. Have the Pacers exposed Brunson as more of an isolation-heavy player who doesn't really make players better? Halliburton's absolutely. This is a great take. This is much better than the shit you throw out here usually. That's an amazing take. 100%. 100%. I don't think it's just the Pacers. I think this has been a trend throughout the entire season. It's just the fact that Brunson's been able to get his way the majority of the time. And there are obviously, a few games sprinkled in here and there where Brunson is an amazing facilitator, where he's got 10 or more assists. What have we seen? What have we seen throughout the course of these playoffs? Has Brunson been a major facilitator? Has he had big assist games? I'm looking at the stats right now. Throughout the last 10 games, he only has 2 games with 10 or more assists. Only 2 games. And each and every single one of these games, he's taking at least 20 shots or close to it. I think it's absolutely right, Big Mike. 100%. NJ Bourne, hot take. We are better with Brunson off the court. We're Cat and Cook, and we can defend the pick and roll. I just think, I'm not going to say the Knicks are better with Jalen Brunson off the floor, but I will say that they're better with either one of those two off the floor. You can't play the two of them together. And what we saw in Game 4, which again was completely different from what we saw in Game 3, was the two of them on the court for 20, 25 minutes. They couldn't defend. The offense was fine. That wasn't the issue. They still scored a lot of points. It was the fact that they could not stop the Pacers. That every single possession, Tyrese Halliburton just skipped into the paint. Trotted into the paint. And was easily able to draw doubles, to draw in whoever was guarding the paint, whether it was Mitchell Robinson, Karl-Anthony Towns, and kick to a wide-open shooter. Or take the floater. Or with the threat of him trotting into the paint, take a step back 3. I've never seen a player so comfortable on offense in my entire life. And the guy had an unbelievable stat line with 0 turnovers. It's because the Knicks did not make it difficult on him whatsoever. Mikal Bridges has sucked on him. And Mikal is a pretty solid on-ball defender. He's an amazing off-ball defender, one of the best in the NBA. The guy cannot get through a screen to save his freaking life. He can't. He absolutely cannot. And that's what makes me think you have to switch it up. You can't keep rolling out Mikal Bridges on Tyrese Halliburton. And do I expect any changes? No. I don't. But the Pacers will continue to do what they do. Set the 2 high ball screens. Set the one so it doesn't matter. They're able to generate mismatches so freaking well. The Knicks can't do it. The Knicks can't. They don't have a guy like Aaron Nesmith who can jump right through screens, it feels like. He teleports through screens. That's how it feels. The guy gets through every single screen. The Knicks do not have a player like that. They don't have anyone as physical as Aaron Nesmith at the defensive end. Aaron Nesmith would do an amazing job on Tyrese Halliburton. 100%. The Knicks just don't have a guy like that. OG is the toughest defender they have, the one physical defender they have. Mitch, too. But Mitch doesn't defend guards. I'd like to see a lot more of Deuce McBride. I just cannot believe that he only played 14 minutes in Game 4 after how valuable he was to the team throughout the course of the series. Big Mike. I think the roster is just too shorthanded at this point. Knicks bit the roster to beat Boston, but they cannot match up with this Pacers team whatsoever. You see the Pacers, 10, 11 guys deep. You see Tom Thibodeau's reluctance to play a bunch of those guys on the bench. Langford Shamet was giving them some really good minutes down the stretch of the regular season. And then Tom Thibodeau decided, screw it. I'm going to shorten the bench. I'm going to put a lot more strain on my starters, my 2 bench guys that I'm going to play. Seven guys. Instead of seeing what he had throughout the course of the series, throughout the course of these playoffs, and experimenting. So they got to this point and they could have been like, Well, we know Shamit works with this lineup. We know Deuce works here. We know Deuce works against this guy. Instead, you saw in game 3 in a make or break situation, Tom Thibodeau had to experiment with those guys. In game 5 tonight, that's exactly what he's going to have to do again. My dad says Cat starting is so is Robinson. No surprise there. Not surprised whatsoever. Oh God, oh God. The Knicks win this game if Tom Thibodeau is not rigid. Like, it's that simple. I'm not going to sit here and come up with a million different strategies. Like, how many times do I need to tell you? How many times do I need to sit on here in live streams and tell you Carly Towns needs to get involved early? Mikal Bridges can't suck. Josh Hart shouldn't play as much. Like, how many more times did I beat the dead horse here? Tom Thibodeau needs to switch up his rotations. Mikal Bridges as a point of attack defender is atrocious. Switch it up. Switch it up. Play Mitchell Robinson more. Play Deuce McBride more. I mean, that's not true. Look at Deuce's plus-minus stats. Look how good he has been on the floor in all of these different lineups. The advanced stats tell the story. Deuce McBride is one of the most valuable guys defensively on this team. Every lineup that Deuce McBride is in, the Knicks play better defensively. Straight up. Look at the stats. Look them up. The advanced analytics, that's what they tell you. I need to see more of Deuce. I need to. I really don't. I don't think this is a tiny sample size. It'd be like there's hundreds of minutes with him on the floor this year, and you look at the defensive stats with him on versus him off. I think there's huge sample size in these playoffs too. He hasn't played much, and when he does, you could see the impact that he has. He's a much better on-ball defender than Mikal Bridges is, 100%. And I think that the Knicks' best defensive lineup with Brunson and Cat on the floor together, that's Cat. I do not agree with that whatsoever. He absolutely would be. He would be the 8th or 9th man, but he would absolutely be in the Thunder rotation, 100%. With how great he is defensively, 100%. And he knocks down open shots. But yeah, I mean, you look at the stats, Deuce McBride, DeLon Wright, those guys on this team, the Knicks are better defensively with both of them on the court. Like, I just don't understand how DeLon Wright barely plays more after that first half. Like, yeah, he had the 2 bad turnovers, or the 1 turnover, the double dribble, and then when he stole the ball off the inbound and then missed the layup. Like, other than that, he was really good. Forced a turnover or 2, hit an open shot. Again, slowed down the pace of the game. That's what the Knicks needed more than anything. And how many times do people say going into the series, whoever controls the pace the best, because obviously these two teams are completely different with how they play offense and how they, the tempo. Whichever team plays down to the other's tempo would win the series. Or wouldn't win the series. And the Knicks have not been able to slow down these games. And you know what you see with the finals odds? OKC is minus 650 to win the finals. I don't think that the Pacers stand a chance against the Thunder. I really don't. Like, they've been thriving because Tom Thibodeau is putting out lineups with 2 terrible defenders. The Thunder don't have any weaknesses defensively. None. Tyrese Halliburton is not going to be able to do what he's been doing against the Knicks, that's for sure. But I'm not going to get that far ahead of myself. The Knicks still have a game tonight where, they could start this magical comeback, or they could falter in just an unbelievably pathetic fashion, especially after losing game 1 in the manner that they did. So that's where I'm at. My prediction is the Knicks lose. I don't think it's going to be close. From what we've seen and heard from all these guys, Josh Hart, we got to be better, blah, 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 blah. They just don't seem like they have the fight to win this game. They don't seem like they have the fight to win this series. If there's a convincing win tonight, I think that's going to switch it all. It's going to change it. Like, I don't know. Something seems off about the chemistry. I don't know what it is. Something does not feel right here. You say Deuce McBride is a defensive liability? It's a very casual take, Big Mike. Very casual take. My sister says, do you think he's going to shore up the bench? He's going to play 10. He played 9 last game. Or 10 because he played a shoe with 3 minutes or whatever it was. He has no choice. He has no choice. Again, like I said, they got to switch it up. They have to change it. They have to, things have to be different here. The Knicks are going to come back in the series, win tonight. They're going to have to. I have the Knicks losing this game. I obviously want to have hope. I want to be positive. I want to sit here and tell you that the Knicks have a good chance to win this game, that they have a good chance to come back and win the series. I can't. In good faith, I cannot tell you something that I don't believe. From what I've seen, for the majority of this series, it's like after the 5-minute mark of the fourth quarter in game 1, everything has been different. Besides an amazing 20-point quarter from Karl-Anthony Towns, series has been largely in the Pacers' advantage. And it's felt like they've had all the momentum. And I think that continues on tonight. I don't see anything changing. Again, I'd say it a million freaking times. The Knicks can win this game. The Knicks can win this series if the head coach actually switches up something, particularly on the defensive end. Put someone else on Tyrese Halliburton, tries different things, goes into maybe a zone. I don't know. Figure it out. This is the supposed defensive mastermind, and I do believe in that sentiment. I do believe he's one of the greatest defensive coaches in NBA history. I believe he's a basketball genius. He's a basketball savant. He's also extremely rigid, and he is unable to get out of his own way when it comes to figuring stuff out in game. You don't see many adjustments. You don't see many lineup changes for weeks or months at a time. Things stay the same. It took major bullying and probably a few comments from Leon Rose, maybe even James Dolan himself, to switch up the starting lineup. It's gotten killed all the time. The fact that we even saw that starting lineup together in game 4, what a travesty. Were you serious about winning the game? You're going to play that lineup together again? When that lineup has been putrid time and time again, they're getting minutes? They got 3.5 in game 3, and guess what? They won game 3. That lineup is just always a net negative. They always make it extremely hard for the Knicks to win games. And if they continue to play big minutes, the Knicks won't win. The Knicks won't win. Especially, again, if Tom Thibodeau continues to play Jalen Brunson and Cat big minutes together. 25-30, you're not winning the game. You're not. You have to switch it up. You have to. And if you want to play the two of them, you have to play Deuce, McHale, and OG. That is the best lineup of the 5 together. You want to talk about small sample size here, Big Mike? That's a small sample size. But you got to test it out. You got to see what you have. It's a do or die game. The Knicks' backs are against the wall. They have to try anything and everything. And we'll see. I have the Knicks losing this game, as I've said a million times. I really do not believe they're going to win this game. And it's going to suck. It's going to be terrible to watch a team that has knocked the Knicks out for 2 years in a row, celebrating making their first finals in years on the Madison Square Garden floor. It's going to be so sad, so disappointing. And if the Knicks win tonight, you're going to get all these people with the false hope. If the Knicks go out there and Tom Thibodeau doesn't switch things up, and you just see amazing games from Mikal Bridges and Josh Hart, I'm going to have no hope. None. Because, what are the odds that they continue that over a 3-game stretch? Zero. Not everyone is going to have it on every night. I've never seen someone, maybe Jalen Brunson against the Sixers last year. He was good at game in and game out. But Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges I've never seen good 3 out of 4 games. He's always got a stinker once in every 3 games. I do not trust him whatsoever to come out and play well 3 straight games in a row. 4 or 3, I guess. Josh Hart as well. So that's why I don't have much hope for the series. I don't have much hope for this game. But we'll see. We'll see either way. If the next season comes to an end, I'll be going live after. If not, I'll get a video out, maybe go live depending on what happens in the game. If they blow them out, I'm going to do something. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned for my live tweets. I'm going to be, not doing as much. Getting a lot of shit from Brian Scalabrine and Frank I saw in the starting lineup. So I got to tone that down. I don't want to get shit on like I have been. So, all right, this has been fun, terrific, amazing. I'm so excited for tonight. Oh, it's gonna be great. But hey, let's go Knicks. Hopefully, they can extend the series as long as possible and give us something to be excited about, at least for the short time that we have here the rest of the season. All right, everyone, go Knicks. Peace.